On today's podcast, we're talking about the aspect of resting and recharging that arises and arrives when we truly seek joy and allow ourselves to sit with and experience that in life that brings us joy without a need to rush to the next appointment or action item. Time to experience joy that will help us move more gracefully and effectively on the road ahead. Welcome back to The Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everybody, it's Jason, and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast. Wherever you are and however you are coming to the podcast today, welcome back. So glad you're here. So glad you're carving out time to think about this kind of stuff and to be with us on this journey. My commitment to you is that this is a place for you to step back, to think about your own life, the temperature you're trying to set, and then how to breathe oxygen into your life and your work and the people around you in order to create the culture that you want. So thanks for tuning in today. If you're one of the OGs that have been with us from the very beginning of this podcast, thank you. Welcome back. So glad this continues to add value to your life and work. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. So glad you're here. This continues to grow and spread in exciting ways. We have over 180 episodes. So dive in. Check out the past episodes of great interviews, great micropods and topics of all kinds that hopefully add value to your life and work. Before we dive into today, if you'll do me the quick favor and you will, if you will, please rate the podcast 5 stars. I hate that I have to say that, but I keep being told that you need to keep saying this. Have people rate the podcast 5 stars. If you can leave an authentic review on whatever podcast platform you are using with your own words about what resonates with you, those are ways in which the algorithms help find this podcast and help it reach more and more people, and that's ultimately the goal, is to amplify this. So thanks for everybody that rates and reviews, and also anybody that shares episodes that resonate with you, with colleagues or team members or friends or on social media or however that is. Those are all the ways in which this content spreads, and it's all free, and it all hopefully makes a difference to the people around you. So thanks to everybody who takes the time to do that. These next few podcast episodes are shorter by design and very purposeful with the content due to the time of year and encouragement to myself, but also encouragement to my listeners to carve out time to step back, to recharge, to rest a little, and not with just the, hey, quit working, could be a slacker. That's not the mentality behind this. As you're going to hear, that the purpose of this series that we're in the midst of is recognizing and changing that association, that stepping back and recharging and resting is actually about being at your best when your best is needed. And that we'll talk about some statistics and studies that have proven this, that elite performance is connected to just that. And so the impetus of this series on rest comes from my yearly commitment to carve out time to do just this. Again, other times throughout the year, I'm very intentional about resting and time off and ways in which I can be at my best when my best is needed. But I also very intentionally, halfway through the year, take time to recharge, to study, to rest, and allow for new growth to emerge. And I've watched the way that this practice of recharging has helped me to not get complacent. It's helped me to discover new ideas, to rest my body and my mind, and also allow myself to reconnect to the most important humans and in my life, and the most important, mission and purpose and things in my life. So every year, that the practice of stepping back helps me to get better at everything else that I'm doing and who I ultimately hope to be in the world. So, on today's podcast, we're talking about the aspect of resting and recharging that arises and arrives when we truly seek joy and allow ourselves to sit with and experience that in life that brings us joy without a need to rush to the next appointment or action item. Time to experience joy that will help us move more gracefully and effectively on the road ahead. But before we dive into today's topic, let's pause and take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Today's podcast is supported by Epcon Communities. Epcon Communities is one of the nation's premier builders of exceptional ranch-style homes and lifestyle-rich neighborhoods that are popular with the active adult market as they seek to right-size into a home design that fits their needs. When it comes to a home, everyone is looking for different things. Luckily, there are so many things to love in an Epcon design that anyone can personalize a perfect solution that suits their personal stage in life. Their homes are designed and built to live well by connecting you to the outdoors and your community. A private courtyard forms the centerpiece of the home, allowing you access to a quiet, peaceful, private oasis just steps from anywhere inside. And with open floor plans, luxurious kitchens and baths, and versatile room arrangements, the only limit to making their homes something that is truly yours is your imagination. Visit EpconCommunities.com today to see the many remarkable neighborhoods under development right now across the country by Epcon and its local franchises. I've had the privilege of speaking at a number of Epcon events over the years, and it has always been great to see how eager their people are to implement the thermostat culture's principles and their desire for positive accountability and spreading good oxygen to other people. So, cheers to the Epcon team and their commitment to creating a thermostat culture across the country. And thank you for supporting messages like this. So again, thanks for joining me on this quick micropod series on the ethic of recharging and resting, stepping back so that we can be at our best when our best is required. Last week, we talked about this. We kind of framed up this series of talking about slowing down in order to speed up. And so these episodes are shorter by design because I'm hoping they will be quick doses of encouragement to all of us, myself included, to practice this art of slowing down that will help us be better and more effective down the road in whatever endeavor is near and dear to our mind and our heart. Years ago, you may remember that my second book, Remember, which is about renewing our memberships, relationships, and focus in a distracting world, I cited the study from the Harvard Business Review about the number of times in an average day that we as humans are distracted, are switching from task to task, and it's about 300 to 500 times in an average day, and that people, unfortunately, are equating busyness with effectiveness. We're getting that confused, that we think busyness actually equates to effectiveness, and it certainly does not. And so in our buying into this myth of always moving and doing something, and yet it's leading to about a 30% productivity rate. And so the main findings in the study was that the most effective people and teams and organizations actually created time to slow down in order to speed up. They took time intentionally, even in the midst where we buy into this myth that, no, I've got more to do. I got to possibly get more done. They actually took time to slow down and rest even, and then get intentional about their next actions, their next focus. And then the study showed they were actually more effective coming out of these periods of slowing down. So we are not at our most effective selves when we just grind at all hours of the day, and that also isn't a design that can last. It's not sustainable as we know. And again, we know that to accomplish anything of significance in the world, it's going to require hard work. There's a whole chapter in my book, Breathing Oxygen, about grit. And being able to roll up our sleeves and go to work and work through challenges. So grit is important, but we also can't buy into the myth that we never come up for air. So also in my most recent book, Breathing Oxygen, there's a whole chapter that focused on the mindset and the approach for us as leaders and as cultures to focus on rest as a tool for recharging our mind and our heart in a powerful connection to elite performance, that studies show that we can actually are at our best when we do this. And so studies on elite performance show us that this mentality of I'll just outwork the competition, or I'll, my ear to the grindstone, never come up for air, I can't possibly take time off, I'll just outwork, and work is everything I do. The studies show that actually does not lead to elite performance. And again, there's a whole chapter in my book, Breathing Oxygen, about it. And there's a whole nother podcast that I did of debunking this myth about elite performance that you can look up. Elite performance is not about never coming up for air, but it's about learning how to breathe more efficiently so that we can navigate our way through the challenges and be at our best when our best is needed. And so how we rest, how we recharge, how we vision for the future is as important to our elite performance as the hard work that, of course, we have to put in. But we also know that Americans leave around, average 768 million days of vacation unused on the table each year. So we might have an opportunity to better understand and reassociate what resting and recharging and stepping back actually leads to better results. Because clearly people aren't taking time, which means they don't think they can take the time, or they somehow buy into the myth that they'll be more effective if they don't take time off. And yet the research tells us counter. So today is focused on another aspect of what I try to do when I'm resting, when I'm recharging, when I'm slowing down in order to speed up. As I talked about last week, as I framed up this series, we're going to be today focusing on seeking joy and the role that plays in resting and recharging. And on future episodes, we're going to talk about the idea of, mindset-wise, of breaking tendencies and how that helps us rest in interesting ways, and allowing time for creativity and to grow like bamboo, and then time for preparation that breeds confidence. But today we're talking about the role that seeking joy plays in resting and recharging. And when I carve out time each year to rest and recharge and for study leave, or to, this slow down to speed up mentality, one of the intentional practices I do is to be very intentional about seeking joy. Again, I'm not saying that I don't seek joy the rest of the year. Of course, hopefully I'm always seeking joy in my life. But I do try to be even more intentional and bring my attention to practices of seeking joy when I'm carving out time to step back and to go on study leave, or to be, I'm not just talking about a quick vacation here and there, but a time that I try to carve out to really step back and allow myself to enter into a different rhythm so that I can not only go on vacation, but I can think about things differently. And so the hope is that you're finding joy in your life all throughout the year, but in your times of stepping back or recharging or resting or going on vacation hopefully you're also seeking it in very intentional ways and new ways of trying to find new ways of seeking joy. And so what I try to do is I identify things that bring me joy on a day-to-day basis when I'm off. And so, some examples, and again, some of these aren't dramatic things, but I've recognized in myself that one of the things that brings me joy is an early morning cup of coffee where I'm not rushing off to a to-do list or an appointment or something is on and when I've scheduled time off to allow myself to actually sit and enjoy that early morning cup of coffee helps me experience and bring joy in ways in which are meaningful to me. I allow time and space in my vacation or my time off for a more meandering walk rather than a very purposeful workout. Throughout my normal work weeks and everything, again, I'm trying to be intentional and slow down as best I can. But in a travel schedule and in client work and all the stuff that certainly I'm so grateful and lucky to get to do, oftentimes I have to be really efficient with my time. And so to have a very purposeful workout where I get my body and my mind working out, but I have a shorter amount of time to accomplish that. On my scheduled time off, I allow even more time for a meandering walk or something that allows me to kind of get out of that rushed workout feel. I seek out music that enlivens me and brings joy to me in a way, and allow myself to think about the creation of that music and or the lyrics of that music. I challenge myself to get outside. I love to be outdoors, and so to enjoy weather. And people that know me well know I love a great sunrise and a great sunset. And if it's a good day, it's a day that I don't miss a sunset. And so to go do things that are on my quote unquote list. And so whatever that is in an average year, if there's a concert you want to go to, or if there's a spot that you want to travel to, or restaurants that you've always wanted to try, or friend gatherings that you've put off because of other, commitments that you have. Those are the things that I try to make sure that I maximize in my time off of, let me go do those things that I say I want to do, go experience those places I want to travel, those new places I want to eat, the gatherings with friends. I also seek laughter. And for me, that's fuels me, is to seek out joy, is to seek out laughter and allow myself, again, in a less scheduled environment, to enjoy laughing and seeking that. And that the seeking of these things is the goal. Allowing myself time and space to seek them and experience them without needing to be on to the next thing or the next to-do list or the next action item. And the compounded moments of joy then become fuel for the action items when it's time to return to those. My mind, my heart are more rested, are more recharged, and I'm better coming out of these moments. And so this is just one aspect. And again, on each of these episodes, we're going to talk about a different aspect of resting. But this idea of seeking joy allows me that when it's time to come back, and dive back into the normal routine or schedules, I'm better. I'm ready to be at my best when my best is needed. So some questions to ponder for today. What would bring you joy in the next days or weeks? What would it be? What would bring you joy in the next days or weeks? And what ways can you allow yourself time and space to seek joy, to experience new joy without that kind of lingering to-do list or next appointment or commitment? The effectiveness of your future actions will thank you because of this time to slow down in order to speed up. You'll be better prepared to be at your best when your best is needed. I hope today's episode got you thinking in some new ways. If a deeper dive into any of this stuff or any of these topics is interesting to you, please reach out to us, info@jasonvbarger.com. Let us know. We're always continuing to design content to help meet you where you are. Lastly, I'll encourage you to go back and listen to a number of these, past episodes that will add value to your life and work. And I hope you do so and share them with other people. Cheers to the path ahead for all of us. And remember that the future of leadership is you, is me, is us. We have the opportunity to get clear on the temperature we hope to set, and then be courageous and committed to breathing oxygen into the mindsets and actions that will sustain our path forward. Step back. Remember, be a thermostat and breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.